Okay, so we're diving into a case that's really stuck with a lot of you. And honestly, it's stuck with us too. It's one of those that just grabs you and doesn't let go. The disappearance of Brianna Maitland.
Yeah, it's definitely got all the elements of a mystery that just digs its claws in, and yeah, it's haunted investigators for a long time.
What gets me, and I think this is what gets a lot of people, is here's Brianna. She's 17, living in Montgomery, Vermont, working two jobs, right? Just trying to make her way. And then poof, gone, vanished.
Just like that.
It's March 19th, 2004. She's finishing up her shift at the Black Lantern Inn. It's this local restaurant. Everyone knows the place, right?
Right.
Witnesses say, and this is interesting, they say she seemed anxious that night, like distracted, like something was off.
Yeah, and that detail, that anxiety, it's almost like a little, I don't know, a little breadcrumb on the trail, especially when you consider what happens next, or I guess what they find the next day.
The car.
The car, exactly.
See, she was a runaway, just took off.
Yeah.
Why is the car like this?
That's where the whole runaway theory gets, well, complicated.
So for those who haven't dived into this case as much, the car is found a short distance from the restaurant, right? But it's not just parked on the side of the road. It's backed into this old farmhouse, the old Dutch burn house, they call it. And I mean, backed in, rear smashed in, two wheels off the ground.
It's not subtle.
No. It's like, if you stumbled on that scene, what's your first thought, seriously?
Staged. 100%. It just screams staged. Cars don't just end up like that, not accidentally. Someone wanted it to look like an accident, and that effort, that's what makes it suspicious.
Okay, but why go through all that trouble? If you want to ditch a car, ditch it. Why back it into a building?
That's where things get really interesting and where you start to think about the psychology of it all, you know? It's like, if they wanted it hidden, they would have hidden it.
Yeah.
This is almost like a message or a distraction.
It's like they wanted the car found, but they also wanted it to look like, what, a drunk driving accident, some kids messing around.
Maybe. Or maybe they wanted it to be so strange, so out of place, that people wouldn't take it seriously at first.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's just weird. It couldn't be what it looks like.
Yeah.
You know, misdirection.
Like a magic trick. Look over here at this crazy thing while something else is going on.
Exactly.
But here's the thing that always gets me. Her belongings. Her wallet was in the car. Her paycheck.
All untouched. And that's the detail that throws a wrench into a lot of theories.
Right. Like if this was a robbery, a carjacking,
Yeah.
why leave that stuff?
It's almost like
Yeah.
a contradiction. Right. Like you said, if it was random, why not take the stuff? But it could also mean it wasn't random at all. It was planned. And that's what makes those first few hours, those first few days after a disappearance, so incredibly crucial. Every single detail matters. And that's where the initial police response, well, it gets kind of tricky because they looked at this case and they saw, what, a teenager, maybe some teenage drama, and thought, run away.
They didn't jump right to something's wrong, something's really wrong.
You got to remember, this was 2004. Social media wasn't what it is now. Kids snuck out, took off. It wasn't as uncommon back then to just kind of disappear for a bit, you know?
Right. But the car, though, that doesn't seem like typical teenage angst.
Exactly. And that's the thing, right? Even back then, you'd think that car, the way it's found, that would raise some serious red flags.
So did they look into Brianna's life at all? Was she having problems, boyfriend troubles, family stuff? Anything to suggest she might just take off?
Well, according to those who knew her, Brianna, she was described as pretty level-headed, responsible. She'd left high school, yeah, but she had two jobs. Seemed like she was trying to figure things out. It's not like she was known for reckless behavior or anything.
So not the kind of kid to just vanish without a trace.
And that's where that whole thing with the evidence, or I guess lack of evidence, that's where it gets even more frustrating. Because the scene, the car, it wasn't secured right away. Which, in a case like this, that's, well, it's a problem.
Because even the smallest thing could be important, right?
Huge.
Right.
A footprint, a tire track, anything that puts another person there with Brianna. That's what we need. But if it's not collected right away,
It's gone.
gone. And that's assuming it was even noticed in the first place, right? The longer you wait, the harder it gets to put together what happened.
So, okay, if she didn't run away, and this wasn't just a prank gone wrong.
What are we left with?
Exactly. What are we left with?
Well, then we got to look at the other possibilities, and there are a few. One of the big ones, and this comes up a lot in these cases, is abduction. There were, even back then, there were these rumors about Brianna maybe running with a rough crowd, maybe got involved in something she shouldn't have.
Drugs.
Could be. And that's not uncommon, right? Young people, they think they're invincible and they get in over their heads. And then, well, sometimes people end up missing.
So someone wanted her gone, staged the car crash to make it look like something else?
Maybe buy some time, throw the police off the scent.
That's awful.
It is. And then there's the possibility that, and this is just as bad in a lot of ways, that it was an accident, but someone panicked.
An accident at the farmhouse.
Could be. Maybe drugs were involved there too. Maybe something happened and whoever was with her, they freaked out, staged the crash, tried to make it look like something else happened.
So not trying to hurt her, just trying to protect themselves.
Exactly. And that's a really important distinction, because the why, the motive, that's huge in these cases.
Okay, but what about the possibility, and I know her family doesn't believe this, but what if she did just leave? What if something happened, something we don't know about, and she just wanted to start over, disappear?
It's tough though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because her family, they've always been adamant she wouldn't have just taken off, especially not like that.
Yeah, and you have to consider that families, they know their loved ones better than anyone. And while, yeah, statistically speaking, most runaways, it's not what you think, it's not always what you think, but still, you got to take that into account. So where does that leave us? Seriously, a 17-year-old kid, she's anxious about something, maybe mixed up in something, and then this car crash, that might be exactly what it looks like. Or maybe it's something else entirely. It's like we've got these puzzle pieces, but no idea what the picture is supposed to be.
It's a frustrating one, that's for sure. And it's been years, right? Years of dead ends. Leads that go nowhere. People questioned, but
yeah,
nothing concrete.
No confirmed sightings, no arrests.
Yeah.
Just gone.
And that's the part that, well, it's hard to even imagine what her family, her loved ones, what they've gone through, all that not knowing. It's like a wound that never heals.
And right at the center of it all, there's this image. It's almost iconic now, Brianna's car just embedded in that old farmhouse, like something out of a scary movie.
It's haunting, isn't it? Like a physical representation of all the unanswered questions. Who was she with? What was going on? What happened at that farmhouse?
It's almost like the answer's right there, but we just can't see it. It makes you think, if you were starting fresh on this case today, what would you focus on? Where would you even start?
Man, that's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, there's no easy answers in a case like this, but for me, it always comes back to the car. That's deliberate. The way it's staged, someone put a lot of thought into that. If we could figure out why stage it like that, I think that unlocks everything else.
So the car is the key.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know, right? That's the thing with these cold cases. Sometimes all it takes is a new way of looking at things, new technology, a witness no one thought to talk to, and boom, it all clicks into place.
It's that hope, that little bit of hope that keeps us going, right? Keeps these cases alive. For Brianna, for everyone out there waiting for answers. Well, folks, we're out of time for today's deep dive, but this case, the mystery of Brianna Maitland, it's one we won't forget. We hope you'll keep digging with us, keep those conversations going, because maybe, just maybe, someone out there holds the missing piece. Until next time, stay curious.